Breacher18 from Breacher18.com, and I'm here with Ed. Ed, hi, right? So Ed's got a current Kickstarter out called Lift Off. So do you want to tell us about Kickstarter first of all?
It's 2 to 5 players, sort of semi-cooperative race to get all of your aliens off the planet before it explodes. And it's on Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform.
You're designing a board game. The background's video games. So what made you decide to switch from video games to board games? I mean, is there, other than the obvious, is there a huge difference in sort of the process?
Well, there's 2 questions. The first one is about why do board games. I would say, professionally, I make video games, but really, I just love making products. I love making games, and so it's sort of a natural step to make, to work on video games and games. And I like to write and do lots of stuff. I really enjoy the process of making something and then sharing it with other people. In terms of the difference between the two, the other thing that's a big difference is in video games are really transient, especially now, but they're on the platform, so if you made a PC game 10 years ago, you can't play it right now. If it's an online game, like a free-to-play game, if the servers go down, it's gone. One of the wonderful things about a board game is it's this physical thing which can last, maybe not forever, but for a much longer period of time, and also doesn't get as dated as a video game will. Like, it's sometimes really hard to go back to an old video game because it just doesn't work, or the controllers are different, or whatever. Board games, for the most part, hold up, though. I mean, older games maybe aren't as modern as other ones.
Yeah, that's true. And it's very true what you said about, video games do have kind of like a sell-by date period where, technology is constantly advancing, so you can't necessarily go back to them, whereas board games, they are a physical object. And they last as long as you want them to. I mean, if you look after you look after the games, it's going to be there. So no, I can see that definitely. In terms of Liftoff, is this something you've been working on for a long time now, or is this actually quite a relatively new concept?
Well, it speaks exactly to what we're talking about. So I was working for Bluefin Games in Massachusetts. And the video game industry has lots of ups and downs, and we closed up that studio for various reasons. And I had some downtime, and I started working on the game, and Liftoff, that is. During that process, I really wanted to make sure that we made a nice prototype, something that, at the end of the day, if you look at my game shelf and you see Liftoff over there, if it never got published or never had a Kickstarter, there would still be that game I could pull out and play with people as a game. I was working at Disney, super busy, and I wasn't really in a position to solve anything. And then as time progressed, I became more familiar with Kickstarter. And then I found out that Kickstarter is a project of its own, right? Like, Kickstarter might as well be another game that you have to make.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate how much work and effort it, takes to have a successful Kickstarter. A lot of people you see go into it thinking it's going to be relatively easy, and they don't hit the target they're looking for. But, they have to go away and come back. And a lot of it tends to be getting the word out, promoting, marketing, that sort of thing. People, as well, especially people who are trying to get a game funded, seem to fall short at that particular step. In terms of the creative process, was it always focused on this one particular project?
It's a good question. I mean, I make a lot of things. I make a lot of games. I've got a lot of things going on at once. With Liftoff, one of the things that was really interesting, sometimes when you make something, it takes a lot of work to make it. Like, you make it, and it's okay, but it's not fun, but you really want to make it, so you keep trying, and you keep tweaking, and you keep tuning, and you have to, pull and claw to get it to where you want.
Yeah, it becomes like a labor of love.
Yeah, a labor of love, but also just a labor of love, and for a long time, it doesn't feel like something you should love. It feels like something you should hate, and you have to find it. And I don't know if I was watching Survivor or Lost or whatever, but I was thinking about it. I was like, well, what if you had this sort of cooperative feel, but it actually sort of shifted to competitive as you go, and sort of being stranded on an island, like in Survivor, it's a bunch of people. They sort of have to work together to hopefully get off. But at some point, they start cheating and they start backstabbing. They start doing all these other things. And you have to sort of manage that situation. And so originally, it was actually an island. So on an island, like I was trying to imagine the name of the game and the box, and it was like, who wants to play? Like the box would have been just some guy stuck on an island, and it would have been like, get off this island. And like I just didn't feel that it appealed to me, right?
Sure.
And so,
and if it's not appealing to you, then you've got to take into consideration who is it going to be appealing to.
Yeah, and I don't know if it just touches on a really great mechanic, or if it's simple, or if it's just this idea that like the idea of the planet's going to explode and you've got these cute aliens and you need to get away, like, is really clear to people. So maybe when it was not as good a game, like early on, people were willing to forgive it because they were trying to lose a race. But people liked it from the beginning. I mean, people were enjoying it. Every time we played it, they wanted to play again. So it didn't, it was much closer. The first stab at it was much closer to the actual game.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played the game, so I've literally just gone off what I've seen on Kickstarter. And just from the visual side of things, it is very appealing. I mean, you kind of like have hit upon all of like the key elements of what would be appealing to someone. So I think, that is really good. And the meeples I found myself going, they're really cute. And I was like, no, don't get suckered in. And before I knew it, I was like, pledge. So,
well, thank you.
But it looks great. Let
me compliment. So the artist, Nicole Kelly, carried sort of translating the look and the feel into this planet and with the little meeples and all that stuff. And I think she did a great job with the whole thing.
It looks brilliant. The gameplay, it looks great. There's some elements of it that really appeal to me. And that kind of leads me on to another one of my questions, which is, what is your personal favourite part about this stuff?
Of the game? And so I have the luxury of having played it like 500 times, right? What's neat about the game, at least, is that each one of these pie pieces, pizza slices, can be pulled off the board pretty easily, picked up off the board, and then replaced with another one to bring in a different type of thing. So, you might replace the rocket with a UFO, or the UFO with a slingshot, or a slingshot with a Stargate. And each of them play very differently and have different requirements and have different dynamics. So, and the other element that's important about the game in general is all these points have room for lots of aliens. The rocket ship can hold 6. But they don't have to be from the same player. It's not like, oh, I've got the rocket, it's mine. It's more like, I'm sitting on the rocket, I have one alien in one seat, I want to get more seats in, but other people can get on too, right? Yeah. The rocket doesn't care what faction you are. They've got 6 seats, and if you pay the fare, you get on.
Replayability is a huge thing with gaming because, there's only so many times you can play a game. So if it does have that interchangeability with the board, which, Liftoff has, and it plays differently because of that, I think that's just going to make people want to play it more. What's the main response been like to the game so far?
It's been very positive.
Yeah.
Again, it had a good start. It's still in that, it didn't take off and suddenly in stretch goal line. It's still only halfway funded.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to be, the message seems to be coming through that this is a game that it has strong appeal and it has universal appeal, but it's a game you can play with all different groups and all different levels of sophistication. So that's really surprised me and been really positive, and I've been very happy about that.
Thank you for joining me. It's been great, and wish you every success in your Kickstarter.
Awesome, thank you.